Dear students, good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss about 8th standard Civics. The lesson is how the state government works. Already we know about very well government. What is meant by government? Government is decision making body of a country. First of all, we see what are the learning objectives in this lesson. Shall we see one by one? See, students, they want to understand their knowledge, the state executive, powers and functions of the governor, and powers of the functions and powers of the chief minister, legislative assembly and then council and state judiciary. First of all, we see the introduction about the lesson. There are two sets of government, you know very well. There are two sets of government in our country. That is the central government and the state government. So we have how many types of government is there? Two types of government. One is a central government, another one is a state government. We know very well there are 28 state governors of our country. So every state as a government is run into own administration. They have to run their own administration. You know very well. So administration means what? All of it. So they want to do their works. Okay. So the states have their own executive, legislature. What is the meaning of legislature? Sattamantram. And judiciary. What is the meaning of judiciary? Needithurai. Okay. So the state executive consists of the governor. Okay. And they want to counsel the ministers also. And they headed, who they headed? The chief minister only, headed by the chief minister. So they have to follow the government into the integral part of the state legislature. This is the introduction about the lesson. Come to the next point, the state executive. This is the state executive. The constitution provides the post of governor of the head of the state in India. So he has appointed by the president. He only appointed the president of where? In India. So he have the constitutional head of the state. The governor who appointed the term of the 5 years. The governor only want to appointed for a term of 5 years. But before expiry of his full term, the president can dismiss from his job also. So the governor may also resign of his own interest. They have to resign in their own interest also. So in terms of office, they have to extend many transferred into another state also. Okay. However, the state government cannot be required. The government from this post. Who? The governor removed from their post. So the governor is a person. It is must be a citizen of India and should have completed how many years? 35 years age, and he cannot be a member of a parliament or the state legislature. So he should not hold any office or profit. So we know very well, while appointing the governor, the president acts as per the advice of the union cabinet. So the state government is also consulted when the appointment is into the be made. So, generally, a person is not appointed governor in his own state. This is what the state executive. Next, we see what are the powers and functions of in their lesson. So, the governor is the nominal executive in a state. He only a nominal executive in the state. So, all the executive powers of the states are vested and upon him, and decisions are taken in his name. And he only appointed the chief minister, and they want to appointed the council of ministers also. So he makes us some important appointments of the state governors such as advocate, general chairman, and includes they want to upload the public service commission and then what others. So the president have imposed the emergency in a state, and under article in the era which that is article 356 that only refers on the basis of the report of the governor. So the governor also acts as a chancellor of the state universities. So he summons and prospers the session of the state legislature and he can dissolve the legislature's assembly. So money bills can be introduced in the state legislative assembly with the appointment they given the governor. So the governor have been provided the ordinates with the legislative assembly and both the house legislature and then not in the session also. So the governor may nominate one of the members in the country, that is the Anglo-Indian community, to the legislative assembly. That is Anglo-Indian people in a state, when they are not duty to assemble, they represent people in the state legislature. So he may be also appointed. How many 6 of members? 1/6 of members they allow into the state legislature. And among who expert controls, they have to like the field science, literature, art, social, service and cooperative also. So these are the powers and functions. Next we will see the position of the governor. What is the position of the governor? The position of the governor state is compared to President of India as a nominal executive. But the governor is not always a nominal executive. He can exercise his powers into real sense of some portions. So he acts as an agent of central government in the state. Therefore, it is responsible for maintaining relation between central government and then state government. So, in that situation, according to report the government, they have to be taking the decision, decide independent while exerting the discretionary powers. So, they have to seek information from one council of ministers recording their various activities of the government. The CM stands for what? The chief minister. Who appoints the chief minister? The governor appoints the leader of the majority party in the state legislative assembly. So he has appointed the chief minister. So he is head of the state council of ministers. The chief minister, his office has support to the members of the legislative assembly. So where he was, he supporting the legislature. He was the registration of the two. They have to maintain the whole council of the ministers and all. So the chief minister must be a member of the state legislature. He is not a member of the state legislature at the time of his taking the charge. So within the period of his 6 months. That is the chief minister. What are the powers and functions of the chief minister? The chief minister is the real executive of the state. All major decision of the state, he only want to take under his control. Okay, are you understood? So the chief minister play an important role to the formation of the council, and they have to advise the chief minister and he only appoints to other ministers also. So the chief minister supervises the countries of different ministers and they are accordingly. So the coordinates with the terms of different ministers. So the chief minister plays an important role in making decisions and policies of the government. He has to ensure that the policies of the government do not go against the public interest also. So his voice is final policy decision of the state government. So he plays an important role in making higher appointments. He only want to appoint in the higher appointments. And the state governments from different higher officials into their state government. So they have to advise the government and the chief minister and is the council of the ministry. Next we will see the legislature. In India, the state legislature consists of the governor and one or more two houses. So the upper houses is called, we know very well, the upper house is called a legislative council and the lower house is called a legislative assembly. Very important question, isn't that? Upper house is called what? Legislative council. Lower house is called legislative assembly. So what is mean by legislative council? See, the constitution provides that the total strength of the legislative assembly was appointed by in the term of 1/3 method. They are followed which term? 1/3 method. That is, they have to include the members of the parliament, members of the legislative assembly, members of the council also. So 1/3 of the members they can introduce their own self. That is a member of parliament. They are introducing that cannot. So another field of the election, they are elected members of the parliament in the legislative assembly, not a legislative council. So it is elected by who elected in graduates of the post. They can elected by 1/12 part of the country. For example, schools, colleges, and then secondary school. These are the examples. So we know at present 1/6 of the state is India have been very legislative council in the legislature house. So we know very well legislature means in Tamil we will say Sattamandra. So they are there Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. We know 1/6 of the members of legislative assemblies are nominated by who? Governor of the state one. Okay, he only nominated the council of the minister. So the legislative council is a permanent house. It is not a temporary, it is a permanent house. So 1/3 of your members they can retire from every 2 years and they elected again. Okay, are you understood? The members are elected from the terms into the 6th one must they have to be a citizen of India. They can understand the citizen of India and should be completed how many years? 30 years of age. So he cannot be through the houses of the parliament. He cannot be houses in the presenting officer in the legislative council in the absence of duty chairman presides in the overall the meetings. So they are elected from among these members of the house. Next we will see legislative assembly. The people who make the laws of the state government members are called, that fellows only called members of the legislative assembly. That is called MLAs. MLAs are chosen different constitutions for the elections of MLAs through the entire state is divided into different constitutions. These constitutions are called legislative constitution. So one legislative constitution maybe have the leg or even more people. So one MLA is from the each legislative constitution to represent the legislative assembly. Next we see election to the assembly. So we know very well different political particles complete the elections to the legislative assembly. So these parties are nominated candidates from each constituency. So the candidate is a person who contests from the election as to people they vote from himself. A person at least they have to complete 25 years old to consent for election to the legislative assembly. One person can understand for election in more than our constituency at the same time. Even if a person does not belong to any particle and they have to party, we contest election only. So they have to participate who was appointed independent candidate. So that every party has a own symbol. So independent divided has the candidate. They have to must apply from the years in the year of 18 years. They can understand easily from the legislative council. According to the constitution, the legislature assembly cannot have more than what 500 members or less than 600 members, 60 members. So some of the state can fill with the nominate one member into another. They not nominate from one member into another. So they have to, in the terms of they only they understand this bill presented in the legislative assembly. So debates and discussion they are taking different various countries in the bill. So if more than half of the MLAs vote in favor of the bill, so it is said to be passed. So the bill needs to get answer from the government become an act. So the deputy speaker who will conduct the meeting, the deputy speaker only conduct the meeting. Next we will see the state governor, council of the members, ministers. See the leader of the majority party in the election is chosen only the chief minister. So in Tamil Nadu there are how many legislature? 234 constitutions and they listed candidates MLAs and governor from their government. The chief minister and his minister selected from the chief minister MLAs. And then other minister also they are elected. And chief minister is called what? The state of the government. So he said that what the party which majority is who is taking the election, that government only want to forms. Okay. How to work in the state government? We know very well after being elected the legislative assembly, MLAs are expert to participate in their sittings. So the Legislative Assembly, how many times? 2 or 3 times they have to in the duty. So the Legislative Assembly make the laws and they have to make the laws of subject and they concurrent to the central government. So the Assembly has a control from one various country to another various country. They have to develop their own decisions. So the Assembly is making process through one, that is the Legislative Assembly, money bill, that is taking a different constitution and making the some of the matters. So how they are making the laws, executing and ensuring justice. So how laws are made in state government. So several kinds of rules are making the laws of decision and following you cannot be observed in the marriage before the age of how many years? 18 years. And cannot be made of in woman 18 years, woman 18 years before and men 21 years. So the people elected their government, they have to should take the laws made by the own government. So in the Legislative Assembly, the meetings are discussed a number of actions and they are taking that phase itself. So the MLA have to consult the minister from the answers and the Assembly making the laws and the processing of the laws as follows in the given condition. So the state legislature follows the same procedure and passing an ordinary on your money and it will be a parliament. So in a state legislature also participate, which is the lower house is more powerful than the legislative council. They only have to following the upper house. So what are the executing laws are here following? See, in the job of the State Council of Ministers, they have to follow in the law. So the Legislative Assembly of the Tamil Nadu is located in where? Very important one, Chennai. So the place of the State's Legislative Assembly is located in the where the Council of Ministers, they have to function is the capital of the state. So the state government has several layers of government employees to execute the laws and made by the Legislative Assembly. So the collectors, tahsildars, block development officers, revenue officers, village administrative officers, policemen, teachers and doctors, etc. All of them are paid salaries of the state of the government. So they have to follow the orders of the state government. So next we will see the last topic, judiciary of state. So we know High Court. The High Court stands at the apex of the state judiciary. So as per the constitution, there shall be High Court in each state. Each state have a High Court. So High Court for 2 or more states, that means union territories. So the state High Court consists of the Chief Justice and such other judges the President may appoint from the time to time it's necessary. They only have to follow the necessary. So the High Court is not a uniform. It is not fixed. The President appoints the Chief Justice of High Court and their constellation with the period in the justice of the government of the state. So a judge is High Court can be must have been the following qualification. What are the qualification? He must be a citizen of India. He must be a citizen of India. He must have at least 10 years experience as advocate in a more or in a high courts. So a judge of High Court can hold that office until the completes of the age 62 years. A judge only the power they can improve that incapacity only the same manner which the judge was according to the people into their Supreme Court is removed. So last topic, what are the powers and functions of the High Court? So this thing, the High Court has been empowered to the power and is what? Bogus, corpus, mandamus, prohibition, centrori and warrant. For the assumption they have to write the fundamental rights. Every High Court has a general power to the according to the lower courts and upper courts. They can expert from one to the another, that is the tribunals. If a case of pending before a subordinate, they have to consider with the High Court, then satisfied with that case, they have to decide itself. So the High Court controls all the subordinate courts in the state. So like the Supreme Court, the High Court also had act as a court of the record. So for the purpose of judicial administration, each states are divided into what? Districts under the control of the district collectors, and they have to develop the governor from the exercise and mention the powers, the High Court and the powers freedom within the jurisdiction. So the constitution safeguards have ensured in the independent working. So okay, as per we discussed about the state executive, what are the powers and functions, What is the position of the governor, chief ministers and powers and function, legislative council, legislative assembly, what are the election to the assembly, how to working the government and how laws are made in the state government, executing laws and the judiciary of the state, what are the functions and the powers of the high court. That and all is seen. So as per we discuss these topics and all. So have to see the video very carefully. Thank you students. Stay home, stay safe, study.